Today, I'm going to show you an amazing project that you can build out of pallet wood that you find at the side of the road or any other place that's free. It's an easy, simple project to build. It doesn't cost you anything. And if you're looking to sell a project, this one's going to sell for a really good amount. And don't forget to stay tuned until the end of the video, because after I show you this amazing project, I'm also going to give you a tip that you can use to get your hands on a bunch of surprisingly high quality wood for absolutely no cost. All right, so for this project, this one's actually a pretty big size. It's something that I've had for a few years. I've used it and had a lot of fun with it. And I thought to myself, I've never sold them before, but I thought to myself, why not share it with all of you and give you some ideas of what you can build that is super cool looking and costs almost nothing. And what the project is a dartboard backer. This thing here, I found a pallet at the side of the road where there was a manufacturing company that put some of their pallets out at the end of the road. I'm sure all of you have seen where you can get all of these pallets. And so I brought it home. I didn't know what to do with it. Initially, I was going to burn it. And then I thought to myself, why not make a really cool dartboard backer for this? I don't know about you, but I like playing darts every now and then. My wife and I both do. And if you do too, that's awesome. Something for your man cave, that's perfect. This one here is actually mounted in my shop, and that's primarily where I play darts. This construction is super simple. As you can see, not a single one of these boards is the same. They're all different. They're all different lengths. They've all got different finishes. This is actually a combination of boards from different pallets. And what I did, because I liked all of the different colors of grain, the different types of wood that it was, I combined it all together. So, of course, the hardest part about pallets, you got to get all the nails or screws out. So if you look here, you're going to see that I've got all these holes all over the place. These are the holes where I pulled the nails out that were holding the pallet together. But in my opinion, it's very rustic and it adds a lot of character. So I wanted to make sure to leave those things there. What I did for these boards is they're actually somewhat smooth. And I say somewhat, not completely, because I didn't want it that way. They are a little bit smooth because I ran over top of these with a belt sander in the grain direction, right? So you can see some parts where it's smooth, other parts where it's rough in between. But in my opinion, it adds a lot of character. And then I had a couple other pieces left. So these were the top of the pallet, but then I had the sides of the pallet, which were a thicker material. And so I decided to cut the ends of those off, and I made some nubs coming out from the board backer here that I could then put a little table on for holding your chalk and your darts and that sort of thing. And I even drilled 1/8 of an inch holes in the top to stick the darts through so it could actually hold them in sets of 3. So this holds 1, 2, 3, 4 sets, and then 4 more sets over there. So this actually holds 8 sets, because for some reason I've got like 6 or 7 sets and I have no idea why. But anyways, looking at the construction of this thing, this is very simple. There's no glue in this. This entire thing is made with screws, and that's what it's held together with. And so far, this thing is held together for years. And I'll show you the back here. Now, the back of this does not have to be as pretty. So you'll see there's a couple boards that I've got going across here and here, and I've got some screws in the back that are about 1 inch, because these pieces are only about 5/8 to 3/4 of an inch thick. And I've got 2 to 4 screws going into every board, depending on the thickness of the board, just to hold these together. As far as the nubs on the bottom, I've got some longer screws going right through the back into those nubs to hold them down. And then on the front of the shelf, I've got this board sitting up here. Now, for the dartboard part, you can get a dartboard mount just like this. If you've got a dartboard, you've probably seen or have one of these things. And this is super simple. All I did was center the dartboard in this backer. So this backer is pretty big. I literally laid the dartboard down, measured both sides to make sure that it was an equal distribution of length on either side. I traced the dartboard, took the dartboard off, then found my center, and that's where I put the mount. This is what this dartboard backer looks with the dartboard on it. Now, this is not the prettiest dartboard because it is very heavily used and it lives in my shop. It gets some moisture every now and then, but this thing is solid as a rock on there. And the only way that you mount this on the wall is by drilling holes equally spaced for wherever your studs are. I would definitely recommend putting this in the studs and not into drywall. I wouldn't trust that for a second. I simply drilled some pilot holes and then put screws in here that were equally spaced to the studs that I had in the wall. And then boom, you've got a really awesome dartboard backer. This thing is about 32 inches wide. And if you look at this, it's almost dead center, which is because I've got 7 inches of space on either side of this dartboard. And then a little in excess of that down here, so that way I've got space to put chalk and that sort of thing. So this is a super cool project. This one, I'm pretty sure, was just over an hour for me to build, maybe an hour and a half. And then it was just a matter of tracing this, center it, put the bracket in, mount it on the wall, boom, done. There's not a lot to it. If you look on places like Etsy and whatnot, I looked recently for some of these, and some of these things are selling for upwards of $600. Now that may be more on the dimensional and fancy side, but that doesn't mean you couldn't look at getting $200-300 for something like this. And if you're not paying anything for the material, that's even better. Now, here's a bonus tip that I wanted to give you when it comes to the material and where you can find a bunch of material for free. So if you live around or if you're ever around any furniture places or whatnot, or lumber yards, that sort of thing, where they've got all kinds of lumber and materials and drywall and whatnot coming to their facilities. Most of that stuff comes into their facilities on flatbed trucks. And as a result of that, it all sits on top of the truck bed on what's called dunnage, which are like 3-inch square or 4-inch square blocks that are underneath. It's meant to keep the material off the truck in the event that it's wet and so on. When I was making this, part of where I got the wood for this was I went to one of these companies that I happened to see a bunch of pallets sitting outside and stacked on top of the pallets, and the pallets actually where this came from, but stacked on top of the pallets was a bunch of dunnage wood. And when I said dunnage wood, typically it's scrap wood. It's completely non-treated, all natural stuff. And I was actually very surprised. So he charged me about $50 for a 4-foot by 4-foot skid of dunnage that was about 4 feet high, all wrapped together, threw it in the back of my pickup truck, brought it home. When I opened it up, I found poplar, I found maple, I found oak. I even found a few pieces of ash. This table here is actually, all of the leg supports in it are made from the dunnage that I got from this place. Once I got it back here, squared it up and gave it some time to climatize and make sure that it was fairly dry, that's what I used to build all of the supports for this workbench. So that's a place that you can get a lot of this lumber that you want to use for these types of rustic projects for next to nothing. Right? Some places will give it away for free. I paid $50, but I got a lot of really good wood out of it. So definitely make sure that you explore your options and keep your eyes open when you're driving by different places to see what kind of stuff they might having sitting out at the road. Let me know what you think about this project down in the comments below. I really want to hear what you think, if there's anything that you would do different, or if you've got any project thoughts or things that you like to do with pallet wood. Share it with us. Share it with the community. Do me a favor and leave a comment down below and share with me what you think or anything that you would do different, or maybe some of the other ideas that you do with pallet wood. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel, and make sure you stay tuned for many more videos to come, as well as go and check out the channel and the other awesome project idea videos that we've got going on. There's going to be tons more uploaded, as well as some videos of tips and tricks of stuff that I do in my shop that might be able to help you. Until next time, happy cutting.